Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Todd Duncan Coaching Live. I am Bourman. I'm the divisional president for Todd Duncan Coaching, and I am with one of our coaches, Dave Brown. So good morning, Dave.
Good morning.
So those of you that don't know Dave has been in the business for 36 years. I'll say 35 years. He's a producing branch manager. And his year to date, so 2020, his personal production as a producing manager was $60 million, which is pretty amazing. His branch funded $200 million, which is congratulations, Dave, on both of those accomplishments last year. It's tough to do this, tough to do. And then also year to date, you're already at 27 million, which is beautiful. Is that your personal production?
Yes.
And where's the branch? How's the branch doing?
Branch about 75 million year to date.
Okay, very well. So what is the goal for 2021, I'm sorry.
The goal for 2021 is I would be very happy to duplicate 2020 because 2020 was such a big year, and we're certainly off to the races, and we've had a good start to the year. We're starting to, I think everybody's starting to feel the market, slow down a little bit and resume a little bit more normalcy. But, we're tracking pretty good, I think, to duplicate last year's numbers.
Oh, that's spectacular. And I think that your ratio refi to purchase is probably going to be a little bit different.
Hugely. Hugely, yes. We've seen a big slowdown in the refinances. And, of course, Todd's been talking about that for since this all started last year. Those of us that have been in the industry for a while, we've seen these. Yeah. The old mortgage banker's prayer, dear Lord, please give me one more refi boom, and I promise not to waste it all this time. But Todd's been talking about this, that you need to get ready. Winter is coming, and winter, we can definitely see it on the horizon. So I think some of the things we're going to talk about today will help people, batten down the hatches and be much better prepared for winter.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's exactly the reason why we bring Coaching Live every week is, our goal is to just add value, make an impact, give you ideas, implementable actions that you can take right now today to improve your business, to build the right relationships. And one last thing, Dave, you've been a coach for Todd Duncan Coaching for 3 years, 4 years, 3.5 years?
Started at the end of 2018, so coming up on 3 years.
Coming up on 3 years, yeah. So Dave is one of our core coaches, which is one of the original coaches when we restarted back in 2017. So we're super excited to have Dave as part of our coaching faculty and our master level coach and just, our go-to person. So we're very, very proud and grateful to have Dave on our faculty. So thank you, Dave.
Love being here. Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's get started. Today, we're going to be talking about the law of the bullseye and how to properly add real estate partners. So the law of the bullseye says from high trust selling, 14 laws of high trust selling, the law of the bullseye says, if you don't aim for the best prospects, you're likely to work with any prospects. So Dave, talk to us a little bit. When prospecting for new referral relationships, what do you find is the biggest challenge for LOs?
It's very, very common as I start a new coaching relationship with a coaching member who has decided to be coached, is that there's two kind of problems that I generally see. Number one is they don't have enough good referral partners, number one. And number two, the partners that they have are not really partners. And I think there's a misnomer with a lot of loan officers that because I'm working with a licensed realtor, that they are a partner, and that isn't necessarily the case. So I think one of the biggest problems is not having enough, or I guess two problems: not having enough good partners and possibly having the wrong partners.
Yes. Yeah. And that's very, very true. And I think that the perception is that, well, I have referral partners and they refer me deals on a regular basis. But, until you start to really, truly analyze, what those referrals are and what is the close ratio, what is the quality of the referral, have they vetted them, all of those types of things is just starts to they start to look like, well, maybe there's an opportunity for this partner to be a great partner, or maybe not, right?
Yeah, exactly. And in some cases, you can kind of coach up your partners to help them, certainly improve their business and improve the quality of business that they are referring. And in other cases, you just, for lack of a better term, you need to fire them and move on down the road, because they're either, they can be time drains, and Todd talks about this in Academy is, the people that on any level, regardless of how much business they're doing, if they're very, very high maintenance, and they're sucking out a lot of your time, even if they're doing a lot of business, that might not be a partner that you want to do business with. The bottom line is you want low maintenance people that are sending you good quality business. And of course you're sending them business. We talk about that as well in High Trust, of how to help our clients generate business. But, going back to having the wrong people in place, 80% or more of the licensed realtors out there do 5 or 6 deals a year.
So can you repeat that? That's very important.
So 80% of the licensed realtors in the country do 6 or less transactions a year. So the old 80-20 rule really comes into effect when you're talking about selling real estate. It's the same in our business, quite honestly. It's, there's a lot of licensed loan officers out there that don't do very much. And I think, and that's okay. That's not a judgmental statement. It's just that some people treat it like a business and some people treat it like a hobby. And we want to show people how to target the people that are treating it like a business and are, in the position to really develop a true partnership, of high trust, as Todd talks about. And there's there's a handful of ways to do that, to develop those relationships and to find those people.
Okay, before we jump on the how, because we are definitely going to give everybody the how. Good morning, Trevor Hammond, who one of our other coaches is on, just joined with us. So the thing is I was talking to a client who we coach in Canada, and they're a big brokerage. Big brokerage. And so they're looking at, running at 200 million this year as a brokerage. They hit their goals last year, and they predominantly get a lot of their business from financial advisors. That's really kind of their sweet spot. They get a tremendous amount of business from their financial advisors. However, what's really kind of interesting is that they do have some realtor relationships. And so they started analyzing those realtor relationships and found that the pull through is less than 50%. So, and that the amount of time and energy and administrative investment that they're investing in these particular agents is not, not delivering a return on their investment. And so they really wanted to understand, what do we do with that? I know that everybody talks about getting referral partners with realtor relationships, which we're clearly open to doing. However, when we look at the numbers, there's not a return on my investment. And so we had a long conversation around, how do we vet these relationships out, and basically kind of, give them the opportunity to rise to the type of the way that they do business, or look for the agents that will embrace the way that they do business, and that type of thing. But, so we obviously went to the high trust interview. I said, the most important thing that you need to do right now is go back and meet with each and every one of those agents and do a high trust interview with them.
Exactly. And I think when you're doing business with potentially, the wrong person, There's two options that you kind of touched on. Either one is you sit down with them and you kind of coach them up on, maybe how to do a little bit of vetting on their side before they send client. Just because somebody calls and says they want to buy a house, maybe just a couple of basic questions you can teach them. Do you have a job? That's a good start.
Yeah.
Where they don't have to waste any more of their time or your time, things like that. Or the other is you just, you simply stop doing business with them.
Right. Yeah.
Because if they are a time drain and they're not worth it in terms of the business that they're sending, then there's just too many good partners out there to be willing to do business with anybody.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's, obviously a lot of our real estate community, had a rough year in 2020. Their business kind of came to a screeching halt in 2020, and they had to relearn and reinvent themselves in 2020 to be able to do business and be successful in the new environment, right? So, our hearts go out to them, and obviously partnering with a lender is going to, I would say, it's going to expedite that process because we as lenders are already very virtual.
And even more important because of what's happened in the market, because what we've seen is the market has really split into a have and have not in the realtor community, because the newer realtors that largely would get things rolling via open houses, there were no open houses last year or for the majority of the year. So they were kind of stuck, and everything was being controlled by the listing agents. And when you're listing your property, the seller wants an experienced agent. And so the newer people were kind of locked out to a large degree. And last year, if you were trying to get started in real estate, I think it would have been fairly brutal. And even more important, why we're targeting, the right realtors.
The right realtors, exactly. The ones that, the professionals have been there, has done that. The ones that are actually in the arena, right? So Dave, let's just do a little bit of a role play. I am your coaching member, and I want to grow new partner relationships, solid partner relationships, the way that Todd Duncan teaches me. What would I need to do? What are the first steps?
So what I do with my coaching members is the first steps are we need to build a target list. And there's a couple ways to do that. And it depends on the market that they're in. What Todd talks about and teaches is really the best way to do that is if you find a good vendor in your marketplace. Title reps are probably the best. Maybe an escrow rep, somebody like that knows what's going on in the marketplace. Is you sit down and take them out to lunch and you pick their brain and you ask them who are the agents that are doing business in this area, particularly the buy sides, and who are and they're nice people, and they're people that you like working with, because if they're abrasive or the agent that nobody wants to work with, then it's probably not worth it. So that's a starting point. And certainly what you can give back to the title rep is when you have refinance business, we have the opportunity to direct where the escrow and the title business goes as the lender on a refinance. So there's some reciprocal referral. So it's great to have a good title company partner as a lender, because they could be a source of information. Again, it varies on market, but the other thing that the title companies often have access to here in California, it's called an MTA report.
Yes.
And basically it will break down to the gnat's eyelash the production of realtors in a given county. It'll show their total sides, and then it will break it down, number of listings that they've sold, number of buyers they've represented that have sold, total dollar amount, total numbers of transactions. So as you are running across these people, you can vet them against this list and see, is this somebody that I want to put on my list? The other thing that Todd teaches is from your existing, let's say you have 2 or 3 good realtor partners right now, and you want to take it up to 10, is you can ask them. And Todd has some great scripts that we share in coaching, where you're asking your existing partners, if you were one of my existing realtors, I would say something like, hey, Hope, is there anybody else in your office that you can think of that is not having a great lender realtor relationship like you and I enjoy, that I should be reaching out to based on your referral?
Yes.
And the funny thing about referrals is people will do it if you ask them, but they don't often volunteer the information.
Yeah.
It's and the analogy I love to tell people is, like when you go through the drive-through at, let's say, McDonald's, and you order, hey, give me a cheeseburger, and they'll say, hey, would you like French fries with that? If they say that to every single person that orders just a burger, 2 of those people are going to say yes that wouldn't have ordered French fries otherwise.
Yes.
So the point is, we need to be bold. We need to ask.
We need to ask.
So getting those referrals from our existing partners, and then I think the other great opportunity is when you have a purchase transaction, is you reach out to the listing agent. Number one, look them up on that MTA report, or do your homework otherwise to see if they're somebody you would like to target. And then you can call them at the beginning of the transaction, introduce yourself, give them an overview of the deal, and just say, what, I'd like to provide you updates on the key milestones as we hit those on the transaction. And then if you're happy with the way business goes, I would love to buy you a cup of coffee when we're all done, just to introduce myself, because it's likely we're going to work on another transaction at some point down the road. And it'd be nice to put a name to a face.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a huge thing. And there's a couple of things I'd like to add on that. So on the existing partners, to your conversation, Dave, with regard to the fact that, that they don't offer it up and unless we ask. And I think that there's a lot of assumptions going on because we're good at what we do, because, we seem to make our business look easy, right? To the outside world. There's an assumption going on with the agents, and I think our clients as well, that we don't need more business, that we're not looking to do more business, that we don't do refis, or we don't do purchase loans, or that type of thing. So unless we're asking in our own voice, yes, we have scripting, and we have tremendous scripting. We also have scripting for that listing agent call. A tremendous scripting for that listing agent telephone call. And boy, that is such a huge opportunity to build a new relationship. And if we are not doing that, I think that we are leaving money on the table, and we're leaving possibly great relationships on the table.
Yeah. It's just a nice, easy segue because you're already working with them. They, of course, they want those updates. They want the transaction to go smoothly. And, in most cases, I find when I ask that question, they're like, sure, I'd be happy to have a cup of coffee with you when it's all done. And so for me, the day the loan funds is I call them and say, hey, congratulations. We just funded on the loan for your listing at 123 Main Street. We had talked in the beginning about getting together for coffee. Do you have your calendar handy? We could get a date set, sometime in the next couple of weeks, something like that, where, you don't want any grass to grow underneath that, and strike while the iron's hot. They're very happy because you just perform for them on one of their listings.
Yeah, so we just got a great question from a Facebook user. Thank you for asking the question. So for the listing agent, what has to happen during the transaction, Dave, for us to be for us to absolutely blow their mind?
Which is actually one of the questions that Todd will encourage us to ask the listing agent in the beginning. What can we do to blow your mind so that, we can have a meeting after this or something like this. I think it's so much about communication. I think what you do is you're very proactive in letting them know, hey, loan is conditionally approved. Hey, appraisal's in, everything looks good, we're all set. Hey, we just sent docs to escrow. And then of course you call them, when the loan funds. I don't think you have to go, much more beyond those key milestones. I think that's really all they want to know. Obviously, if there's a glitch or, a problem, they typically need to know that up front. But assuming the transaction goes smoothly, let them know as the key milestones are occurring. And I think they'll be very, very happy because 99 times out of 100 as a listing agent, they don't get any of that.
Right.
They're ignored.
They don't get that communication. And I think one of the things that, that we teach our coaching members to do is in that scripting for that listing agent call is to be asking them what kind of communication is important for you. Who is our contact person? Who is our contact person for the appraisal? When do you want to be contacted? How do you want to be contacted? And that type of thing. And also any questions that you have, I'm available to you, and we will keep you posted as we move forward. And I think that really wows them a lot, that really wows them, tremendously, because you're right, Dave, that level of communication and connection gives them a sense of peace. And that is a heart, that is a heartstring. So if we're giving them a sense of peace, yes, they're going to want to work with you again.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So, okay. So terrific. So we have one other, let's see. So let's get into it. So let's say that we're in a state where MTA is not available. Where else can we find information to vet out our real estate agents?
Again, I think that's where you would rely on industry partners. There are different names to that report too. Mm-hmm. I just started with a new client in Connecticut. We had our kickoff call on Monday, and he was telling me the report that he can access in Connecticut. Sometimes you're through the MLS in the area where you are. Mm-hmm. I know I have access to the MLS myself personally, so I can go in there and look up people on the MLS. But if not, perhaps one of your existing realtor partners will allow you to look up other people on their MLS access. Mm-hmm. Talking to your existing realtor partners about who, like we just talked about, getting referrals for them. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a variety of ways you can target, and find those people. Uh-huh. And then there is one other, and I may be jumping the gun here, but there is one other strategy in connecting with these folks. If you don't have a personal introduction from, let's say, a title rep or a realtor partner, but there's somebody that is doing good business, there's somebody you've heard good things about and you would like to do business with them. Mm-hmm. And Todd teaches a great approach, and I have used it personally. I've had coaching members use it. It does work. And basically what we encourage the members to do is you find a great inspirational, motivational type of book. You could, I've sent Todd's books out, and for those that are members, I believe Todd will autograph the book. So that makes it a little more special.
Yes.
So basically you send a book with a nice note to the realtor, and we have scripting on the note as well.
Yes, we have templates.
Coaching, and you send it with some overnight type service like FedEx or UPS. Mm-hmm. And the reason we do that is, who on the planet doesn't open up a FedEx or a UPS envelope? Mm-hmm. Everybody. So you get that, they open it up, they see the nice note, they see the book, and then a day or two later, you call them to follow up on that with the goal of sitting down to do a high trust interview. Yeah. And like everything else in life, it doesn't work all the time, but it works a lot. And the professionals really appreciate the fact that you took a very professional, different approach, because they're trying to do the same thing as salespeople in what they're doing.
Yeah. Dave, I just want to share one thing with you or with everyone actually, and that is that we have a coaching member who's fairly new to the business. He's been coaching with us for a little over a year now. He just renewed for year 2. And he had sat in on High Trust Sales Academy. He wanted to do a very big campaign approaching real estate agents. And he used the actual approach. He used Todd's scripting, his templates. He used the approach. And I just got an email yesterday from his coach telling me that his capture rate of beginning appointments of the ones that he's sending out is over 50%, which is saying that he's getting those relationships. He's capturing those relationships using this approach basically verbatim as Todd taught it. And so it does work, it does work. And the only thing that I want to say is that once you have your target list, right? So you've got your target list and you're going to do the book campaign, the book approach. I would phase it, and I would, I would definitely phase it. So if you have, let's say you have 25 agents on your target list, phase it of 2 or 3 books going out a week, because then you're going to call them 2 days later, and the following week you're probably going to get that appointment, and you kind of keep that commitment kind of going on an ongoing basis. Would you say, Dave, that's probably?
That's exactly what I talk about. We talk, my message to my coaching members is 2 books a week for that exact reason. You need to be very timely in that call. You don't want to send out 25 books all at once.
Right.
But to your point also, I tell them, if you buy a case of books, which is typically 24 books, and you follow this and you do it right, I said, you'll end up with at least 10 new realtor partners at the end of that process.
Mm-hmm.
So, you don't even need a 50%. But if you get this other person, they're getting, 50% or more, that's even better.
Sure.
But, if you send out 2 books, let's see, if you send out 2 books a week, that's 12 weeks to get through 24 books. That's roughly 3 months. So what would your business look like in 3 months if you added 10 new quality realtor partners?
Yes, exactly.
It's entirely, you're talking about an entirely different business.
Yeah, absolutely. 90 days.
That's it.
90 days, right?
That's it. And I tell people, you don't have to do this forever. Yeah. You don't have to do that. Once you do this right the first time,
right,
you don't ever have to do this again, because after that, you can leverage those relationships, as we talked about, for other referrals, other partners, if you want to.
Right.
I mean, a lot of our people in Todd's ecosystem are at the point where I don't want any more partners. Mm-hmm. I can't, I have more business than I can handle right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really looking to take on any more partners unless there's some, amazing, super duper producing superstar. But the great thing is you just, you plant the seeds correctly once, and then you just have to water them thereafter.
Yeah. So, the thing is that there's a couple things. Is that one of the things that, Todd had taught me when I was in, when I first started in mortgage, and that was to consistently be meeting at least 1 or 2 new agent relationships on a weekly basis. And I think that his thinking behind that was that, things happen. Our top producer just gets married and marries a lender. Our top producer decides, I'm out of the business. I had an agent in West Los Angeles she and I did consistently 200 units a year together. She worked with a probate attorney firm. And so we did a tremendous amount of business together. And then she just basically said, okay, I'm done. I'm out. And that was 200 units a year for me, So, I always want to be consistently, meeting new people, because you never know. And in doing that, it did build some pretty amazing relationships. And it's also a way to kind of get some branding in your marketplace.
That's a good bet. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, to keep your eyes open for additional new opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, Dave, so what do you think the challenges are? Let's talk about this. This really kind of help anyone listening to really kind of overcome the obstacles. So we take the book approach. We send out the book to one of our target agents. We send the template email. We tell them we're going to call them in a couple of days. What are some of the obstacles that come up, and how do we overcome those challenges?
So the obstacles in terms of that they make the call, but the realtor doesn't want to meet with them, kind of thing?
Sure.
Well, I think that, again, you're not going to have 100% success. So there are going to be cases. Mm-hmm. And I think typically, number one, they're very thankful. Hey, thanks for sending me the book.
Right.
I have a long-term lender relationship, that they do a great job for me for the last 10 years, blah, blah. That's probably the most common. And I would say something like, hey, look, I appreciate that. I have loyalty with my realtor partners too. And that's what I strive for. Let me just ask you one question. I said, what are they doing? What is your current lender partner doing to help you increase your business? And then I just shut up and listen. And if they are doing something valid,
yeah,
then then I say, well, it sounds like you're in good hands. Why don't you hold on to the book as my gift? Hold on to my information, and if things ever change, please call me anytime.
Yeah, exactly.
If they say, well, what do you mean? I say, well, that's why I want to get together with you.
Right.
I want to share some ideas. We are different in the way we approach the business. We're not looking to just get referrals from you. We want to show you systems to send referrals back to you. So that's why I'd like to get together with you.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And, one of the scripts that Todd had taught us, years ago and still part of our scripting is when we get that kind of response from an agent saying, I have referral partners, I'm happy with my referral partners, and they ask your question and get a positive answer, to say, I respect that loyalty. Hopefully someday I will receive that same level of loyalty from you. In the meantime, what I'd like to do is to stay in touch with you, to continue to add value to your business, so that when the time comes that you are in the market for a new lender relationship, that I will be the first call that you make. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's that. Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that, that at least, they're going to expect that. And then you do need to, do what you say you're going to do. You do need to consistently add value to their business. So Dave, we're coming up to the end of our call. Can't believe it. And so I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball. Obviously Todd Duncan Coaching is our primary goal, to help our people fall in love with their lives. And so what would you say is the biggest myth about coaching?
I would say it's particularly from, seasoned people. It's, I'm doing really well, so I really don't need a coach. Mm-hmm. Because, I kind of know it all and that kind of thing. And I certainly understand that. I thought that way too. Mm-hmm. But then I became a coaching member in 2017, and, I thought I was, a big deal until I got around people that were a much bigger deal than me. Mm-hmm. I would just ask them also, the question is, why do the best athletes in the world have coaches? Is it because the coach is a better golfer than the professional golfer? No, it's because the coach can see things that mm-hmm. the individual can't see themselves. Right. Yeah. And the other thing too is there's a human nature factor of accountability. Mm-hmm. And if you go to the gym and you work out by yourself, you're going to do X number of reps. But if there's somebody there right next to you saying 5 more, just do 5 more, you're going to likely do 5 more. And you're good. That's mm-hmm. more than you would have if you would have done it on your own. So mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think coaches can push. I think coaches can come at things from a different angle and a different perspective mm-hmm. that you didn't see. And, perhaps a whole different way of doing business. Todd has a very specific methodology that we teach with high trust. And I think there's ways to put that into any existing business and take it up a couple notches, regardless. I mean, Todd has people that are, making 7 digits that he coaches. Yeah. So that should tell, people, the vast majority who don't make 7 digits in this business, that there's always room and opportunity for improvement.
Yeah, exactly. And that's principle number 1 of Todd's 5 irrefutable principles. Principle number 1 is that everything can be improved, right? So we want to be constantly assessing, right? And the way that you do that is you have a coach that you are literally assessing your business with on a regular basis. So for those of you that are not coaching members, if you'd like to get a free coaching consultation, no obligation. We're in market compression right now. Market has shifted. We're in a purchase market, and it's a very, very competitive market. I don't care where you are. Call in or schedule a free coaching consultation. Talk to one of our coach consultants, find out everything about coaching, find out what your best program is, and let's get started, because we are here to help you, succeed and thrive.
Do it.
Do it. Okay, so Dave, thank you so much for your time, and have an amazing day, everyone. And thank you all for joining, and we'll see you soon.
My pleasure. Thank